Welcome to MSP Voice, the weekly show for MSPs by MSPs. Brought to you by Cloudberry, the #1 cross-platform cloud backup. Learn more at cloudberrylab.com. This is MSP Voice. Hello and welcome to MSP Voice. This is episode number 27. Got a great interview for you today with John Watkins of In Our Sight, a local Tampa Bay company. So I say local because I'm in St. Pete. They're over in the Tampa area. So great interview. First, our housekeeping. Be sure to check out mspvoice.com, your site for all things MSP Voice. Sign up to get new episodes and listen to past episodes as well. Last week, we had our first of the webinar series with Mind Matrix, so we'll have that recording up here for you soon. So you definitely want to check that out. A lot of great information that Katie shared during that webinar. So anyway, that's the housekeeping. Let's jump into our best of Reddit. So just 4 quick ones today. First off, what can an MSP not do? So I think this is kind of an interesting question. So this poster is looking for types of services and IT upkeep that MSPs offer, but it's difficult to pin down the limitations of where the line is drawn. So what are some things that cannot be expected from an MSP? For example, if a client is trying to access the cloud from the middle of nowhere with a very limited network connectivity, would the MSP rewrite the apps to optimize network limitations? Or if the database is a mess, would the MSP rewrite the database? Those types of things. So where do you draw the line? And a lot of good advice here. Most people are saying, look, in general, to a large extent, MSPs maintain a baseline IT service and support. So make sure everything's up and running and working, connectivity, those types of things. And anything outside of that is extra or project work if you decide that you want to take it on. So a couple of other people do kind of have that recommendation of, hey, if you have a DBA on site, then great. And you want to offer database work, then great. Help them fix their database. If you have app developers on site, you want to help them do that, then great. Offer them a project to help rewrite their apps. If you don't have those people, then maybe you should look at subbing that out or finding a third party that will help them do those kinds of things, more in a kind of advisory or VCTO type of role. But in general, I think most people agree that for a managed service provider, you're providing the baseline support, making sure everything is up and running and operating. If they're out in the middle of nowhere and they have poor network connectivity, that's not your fault necessarily, but you might be able to recommend some ways to get around bandwidth limitations. But rewriting apps might be out of the purview unless you have that specialty in-house. And a lot of the MSPs I've talked to, they don't do app development, but some do, and that's a service that they offer. But it's typically as a project or extra, versus kind of the monthly fixed cost or however you want to do your pricing for your managed services. So some interesting perspective on that. Next up, we have a couple of future of MSP posts. I don't think these are related, but they might be. And the first one here is called Future of MSPs, but it more has to do with the infrastructure that MSPs will use. So he goes on to say, with the adoption, development adoption MPUs on smartphones and computers, along with faster read-write storage, GPUs, CPUs, we'll be looking at a growing use case for moving away from cloud-based services, and we'll start to see more decentralized services that can operate at the same insight and efficiency as the current cloud-based services. And kind of talks about localization and ownership issues and data at the mercy of cloud outages and those types of things. So he's basically saying, are we, we've moved into the cloud, and a lot of things we're doing right now are cloud-based, but we'll be moving back to kind of a more decentralized, I don't know about client server, but maybe just kind of a mishmash of those types of technologies. And then he asked for thoughts. And someone rightfully pointed out, isn't this the technology cycle? We had a cloud long ago, it was called mainframe. Then we all decentralized and went with personal computing. Now we're all in the cloud again. So then that means maybe we're going to decentralize and kind of go to client server again, or decentralized. It's a technology life cycle. If you've been around in IT for long enough, you know that everything kind of comes around and goes around, comes back around, and then goes back. So it's an interesting thought, whether or not we're going to move away from cloud. Personally, I don't think so. I think we're still high in the adoption of cloud, but as some people will point out, if there are more high-profile outages and hacks, hello Marriott, we may see more decentralized, going on because people will just have an inherent trust of cloud and those types of things. So it's going to be interesting to see where this goes in terms of the types of services and things that you support on a day-to-day basis as an MSP. Will you be supporting cloud-based services, or will you be helping your customers get off the cloud eventually and going to a more decentralized type of route? So definitely something to look at. Next up, some of you may have already seen this. It's labeled as link bait because it really is. I will be honest, I did not click the video in here because it's link bait. But this person has essentially said, here's a video explaining why that your MSP business will be dead in 10 years, if not less. And it's controversial. Your MSP business will be dead, but at the same time, it spurred a lot of really good discussion. So this first person here, that the one's got the most upvotes, 21 points, is basically saying, start the idea we're in the technology business. It's the business of change. Nothing we're doing now is going to exist as it is 10 years from now. There will always be some holdouts, but if you want to continue successfully, you have to adapt. So he's saying in 2009, when he started doing managed services, they said break-fix would be dead in 5 years. Guess what? It's still around. So the fact is break-fix is still around. Hello, Geek Squad. But technology does change. It's a life cycle. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. A lot of other people have kind of the same reaction. That you couldn't agree more. It's a life cycle. And they're saying it's good points and those types of things. So and then someone else saying his reasoning is actually why I think MSPs will survive. As more services move to the cloud, full-time corporate IT needs will start to shrink. Instead of having a full-time IT staff of 20 people, you can now outsource your support to a local company and overall saving money. So he's, I've already seen this trend happening. So, again, a lot of different good discussion here. I'm not going to go through all of them because there's quite a few. And then the other one I wanted to point out is people talking about the younger generation being tech savvy. And this made me laugh as well because the younger generation has a grasp of technology and apps that they use every day on their phone and those types of things. And some other people point this out. It's like, yeah, they know how to use Instagram and Snapchat and Facebook, but they don't know what a 7-layer model is. They don't understand DNS. They're largely still computer illiterate. So while they may know how to use the apps and they're not afraid of technology, they still don't understand the underlying infrastructure and how things work. So it's kind of you might disagree with that. I don't know. It's kind of what I've seen personally. Is yes, millennials love their technology, but if you ask them to fix something or turn something on, they still scratch their heads because they just don't get it. So anyway, not everyone's like that, but this just basic generalization. And finally, we have some career advice. So this one was also cross-posted in sysadmin, but this tech is burned out and in need of advice. So essentially, what it sounds like, he's at a small MSP that's driving him into the ground. Poorly managed, constant on-sites that take up a full day. Poor planning for on-sites that leave 2 to 3 techs in the queue out of only 7. Anyone willing to work is crushed by those who are only there to sit and collect a paycheck, blah, blah, blah. So it sounds like what's happening for this tech is the MSP he's working at, they do a lot of offsites, but they're not planning those offsites well. Sometimes there are emergencies, those types of things. And when he is in the office, there's not enough techs to cover the calls because everyone's doing these emergency onsites. So just a general kind of basis for disaster. And a lot of people kind of talk about, how often do you do on-sites? This person here says he runs a small MSP and we almost never go on-site for support. That model is broken. And others say, hey, if you're going on-site all that time, you're doing break-fix, you're not doing managed services. It's not to say that there's never a need for on-site, because definitely you need to go visit your customers. There may be, certain times when you have to go on-site, but you should be able to do a certain amount of planning. And if there's a lot of unplanned on-sites, on a consistent basis, then definitely something is broken. Some other people suggest to this poster, hey, maybe you should look for a career in IT at a company instead of being at an MSP. You might find it better because you'll be in an office. He goes on to say that he used to do that, but he didn't like it because his boss was bad, blah, blah, blah. So, it's kind of hard to tell exactly where this person is at in their career and exactly what they want to do. But it sounds like they have the technical skills. They enjoy working with tech. They just need to find a good company that's going to help them. So if you have any advice or ideas for this person, definitely check out this post. Maybe you can send them a direct message or her and let them know that, hey, we're here. If you have any, if you need some help, we're willing to reach out and give you some help. So that is it for the best of Reddit this week. I will now take you to the interview with John Watkins of Innersight. Enjoy and have a great day. Hello and welcome. Today I am joined by John Watkins of Innersight here in the Tampa Bay area, which is great. So John, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your managed services business?
Oh, well, a little bit about myself. I started in IT shortly after high school. I started up a consulting company for a few local businesses. I kind of got tired of the business aspect of it. I'm an engineer by heart. I like working on stuff. The office kind of kills me. So I managed to partner up with a local break-fix store. I managed that and also served as the lead technician. That led to Innersight, which at the time had 3 locations. And was doing very well in the break-fix space, but you can definitely see a downward trend in that. When you can go to Walmart and buy a laptop cheaper than the repair cost, there's no point in really fixing it.
Mm-hmm.
So about 3 years after I joined Innersight, we made the transition to full MSP, and we've been growing steadily ever since.
Great. So it sounds like you kind of skipped the IT career, jumping into this right out of high school.
Yeah, pretty much. I learned a bit on my own and brought that over to Innersight and you'll never learn more than working for an MSP. You work with so many different technologies, different clients. It's a new thing every day, which is part of why I love working for them.
Yeah, I know. And I've talked to past guests, about some went to college and then had a career in the IT field first, and others didn't. Others like you just went right, kind of right out of high school and jumped right into it, with that passion for all things tech, and have become very successful at it. I noticed one other thing too, the MSP 501. I think you guys have been inducted into that as well.
Yes. This year we got the MSP 501, and we did the what was it called? The Fast Growing 250, I think, is one of the other titles that they had. But yeah, okay. It was great. They flew us up to Philly. They had a nice award ceremony with at the conference there, and it was a lot of fun.
Great. So, you mentioned that it was a lot of break fix before you went into managed services. How was that transition? Was it an easy one? Was it difficult? And do you still do some break fix?
We don't do break fix as a rule. Every now and then there's a C-level that needs a little extra attention, and we'll just take care of him.
Yeah.
As far as the transition goes, we pretty much set a date and then put a sign up saying, 30 days from now, this store location will be closing.
Okay.
We had meetings with our business clients. We had a few business clients at the time and told them about the transition and what they should expect. The stores were pretty much closed up after we hit that 30-day notice date and got all the systems back to their owners. And we've just gone forward with that ever since.
Okay, great. And then what do you do? You guys specialize in any type of customers? Do you have like a vertical? And, if you do, what made you make that choice?
We don't especially target specific verticals. We do have a few that we tend to work with more often. That comes back to medical clients. Healthcare clients is the right type of medical client. You have to have a doctor or a practice owner who values IT and understands that security is a necessity. It's almost scary how many medical clinics just view IT security as an optional, it's nice to have type thing. So the medical clients are nice, and then industrial and manufacturing clients. We've been working with quite a few of them over the years.
Okay, great. And also, I think you mentioned earlier that you guys use the Sophos security products.
Yes.
How's that been for you guys and your customers?
Knock on wood here when I say this, but we have not had a single crypto infection since we've used Sophos products. We've not had a real malware infection in the last year and a half. Every now and then you'll get some adware that somebody picks up, but actual viral activity has almost completely stopped for all of our clients.
Okay.
On top of that, they have the great mobile devices, and I'm sorry to interrupt you there. But we use their whole suite, and it's great from the top of the stack, the UTM devices, APs, all the way down to mobile device management, encryption. It makes everything very easy.
Okay. And now, do they also include, I'm not totally familiar with Sophos, do they also include kind of end user education then as well? And, do you kind of send out tests to your customers to make sure that they're going to pass and those types of things?
They do have a product called Fish Threat, which is kind of your run-of-the-mill, send out a bunch of fake phishing emails, see who clicks them, who opens it, who puts in their credentials. We use that on a number of clients, and we also have a couple other products that we pieced together and some that we've made ourselves for just good security, hygiene for our clients, important things to keep in mind. We have little posters that we put up in the break room and things like that. Ongoing newsletters and training programs also available.
Okay, great. So yeah, because I know, obviously the technology plays a big role, but the user education and awareness of what not to do plays a huge role in protecting.
That's absolutely true. You can have the best technology on the planet and still have that one, C-level's wife that refuses to do anything, any of the practices, and gets an infection through. So you definitely got to cover your user base.
Yes, definitely. And then when it comes to, so that's kind of the security side of thing, but when it comes to cloud, do you primarily use public cloud services like AWS and Azure, or, do you have your own? How do you guys handle that?
Well, when we first started looking at different ways to go with the cloud, we kind of did a cost comparison versus what we could do ourselves. And while the capital was definitely higher for us to do it ourselves, we felt that it would be a better value as far as what we get out of it and for our clients. Like I said, we work with a lot of medical clinics who they don't want their information just up in the cloud. But when we say, hey, you can go to this data center, I can show you the RAID array that your data is on, all these encrypted drives, that kind of gives them a little peace of mind and makes it a little easier for them to transition to the cloud. Okay.
And so that's been working out then for you? Because I know, like you said, from a cost and profitability perspective, you have to weigh those options, but I'm guessing it's been working out well.
Oh, very well. It's been working out very well, and it's a good peace of mind to know that we have the proper equipment, and it's not just the third-party provider that supposedly maintains everything. We have our hands on it directly. Okay,
great. So kind of looking back at your career and how you got started. What kind of advice do you have for maybe someone who's just getting started in services?
Well, IT is such a wide field right now. I would really say find something that interests you more than just a passing interest. For me, that was virtualization. That got me up in the middle of the night. I'd go, oh, I'm going to try this. I'm going to work on this. It was exciting to me. When you have to kind of grind through the more boring concepts, I'm not huge into networking. I went through the CCNA. I don't want to go CCNP. That's just too much command line. But the virtualization, that really clicked with me. So find the thing that you really like and then just learn it. Get a cheap server, lab it out, do whatever you got to do, and specialize in that one area.
Yeah, and I know home labs are, big importance if you're trying to learn, so you need a playground so you can learn the technologies.
No, absolutely. You can read all the books in the world, but until you use it, it just isn't the same.
Yeah, and now, you said you have that technical background, but you found a partner, that kind of, to help with that. So did you feel that was, obviously it's a good decision. You guys are doing great. But do you think you would have been as successful if you just would have tried to go it on your own and do everything by yourself?
I don't, absolutely not. He and I work well together because I have a more logical and technical mindset. He is more a sales guy, a people person. He can kind of pull out what people are really trying to say when you're having a conversation with them. It's very useful to have it in our field. Especially when most engineers are more like myself, where it's difficult to have those polished soft skills. And more than that, you see online, I'm sure you see quite a bit, these one-man band type MSPs.
Yep.
Kind of have a problem with some of them because they go, at least a few local ones, will go around telling clients, oh, we'll give you all of these things. We'll protect absolutely everything you have. You'll be HIPAA compliant. We'll respond within 5 minutes. With one person, you can't possibly cover all those bases. Just finding the baseline for HIPAA is a major undertaking. And a lot of clients I've seen are kind of being not lied to, but misled in what they're actually getting for those services. I think for you to have a proper managed service provider company, you have to have at least a few different people focusing on their own areas to do it right.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree. It's just sometimes you have to start somewhere, right? So.
Right, absolutely, but just don't oversell yourself. If you're just going to do the basic server and workstation support, great. Be the best workstation support company you can. But don't come in and say that you're going to make everybody compliant overnight and then disappear when the audits happen. Yeah,
no kidding. So what's, thinking about managed services, what's the greatest part? What's the part that you enjoy most about being in this business?
Well, I mean, again, going back to every client is a completely different network. It's a different setup. I have clients that are major car dealerships, so I can go back in their service bay, see all the cool new stuff being worked on, and I can go to a client who has a dentist practice or something and see a very different but still very in-depth type of network topology. It's always something new. There's always something new to learn and a new problem to solve. That's what keeps me going. I do have a few friends who are IT in a mid-range enterprise type thing, and a couple of friends who work at Microsoft. But working at the same network over and over, it just really seems like it would wear out quick for me.
Yeah, and you end up with a lot of corporate politics too. I know that from my experience. So
that doesn't sound like fun.
No, and so that's kind of the best. What are some of the bad parts about managed service? What are some of the worst things that you can change?
I wouldn't say it's the worst thing, but one of the most difficult things, at least for me, is that that management side of things. But you have to have the vendor relations down, you have to have your client relations down, and then on top of that, you have to be able to manage your guys, who are engineers, are not the easiest people to manage, just because of how they think and how they work. So it's definitely a challenge trying to pull pieces of traditional management and technical management together to get a happy ecosystem where everything is working well and the clients are happy. But I think we really hit our stride in the last year or so to get that down.
Okay, great. Now, another part I know within all technology sectors is, this idea of community. And, do you kind of consider yourself part of the MSP community, and what kind of, where do you hang out, so to speak, if you do?
Well, I definitely do. We're an MSP, and we're one of the bigger ones in the area. So we try to have a good presence in all the different kind of alcoves that MSPs tend to congregate. Almost everybody in the building is on Reddit, on sysadmin, MSP, CIO, every day. That's the best way to check for new outages, patches to watch out for. Even before our labs catch it, a lot of times they'll be posting things on there. Aside from that, channel partners, channel features are great resources for industry news. We just kind of float around through the main ones.
Okay. What about peer groups? You guys a member of any of the MSP peer groups that exist out there?
We have tried a couple. My opinion would be very different from the CEO of Beagle. He sees value in them. I see kind of a lot of good sales guys selling their product to sales guys. For the majority of them. I'm sure there are people who have benefited a lot from it, but I feel like our struggling through to kind of get to the same end result is a better pathway and more beneficial to us in the long run. We're not just taking what somebody says, hey, here's how you do your marketing, here's how to stand up your clients. We're trying it, doing it the wrong way, fixing it, and then progressing every time.
Okay. Oh, great perspective on that. Thinking about technology, whether it's MSP or work-related or consumer tech or whatever, what technologies are you most excited about today?
Ooh, there's a lot of stuff going on. It's almost hard to keep track of everything nowadays. The virtualization has always been very interesting to me, like I said, but that's kind of a run-of-the-mill thing. It's not really anything new. Everyone's doing it, and you should be doing it. SD-WAN is a great concept when you can get past the marketing buzzwords and and everyone's, oh, mine's better. We've been demoing a few different solutions, and those are very exciting, especially for our low bandwidth clients. And the hybrid cloud is starting to hit the price point where it makes sense for small businesses, small mid-sized businesses who don't have a $10,000 a month IT budget. We could still leverage Azure and some AWS services to kind of get them into the next century here.
Okay. What about technologies that keep you up at night? What are you most worried about?
Well, the Internet of Things, so to speak, that is very troubling for us because a lot of our clients are the smaller offices that have maybe 10 users. And, Brad, who worked on computers in college, he brings in this new cool Ecobee thermostat or something like that. And all it takes is one misconfigured NAT rule or firewall policy, and then it's just completely open. That's something we've been trying to lock down, and I've been doing segregated networks for where they're required. That and then hardware vulnerabilities like Spectre and Meltdown. Those are always terrifying because you never know when they might pop up. The remediation is not very, it's not a free remediation. You just put a patch on. You're going to take a performance hit. So then you got to factor that into your infrastructure. So those are pretty scary for us.
So that, you interesting you brought that up because you have your own cloud services. So, is that something you guys had to do, and did it affect the performance of the cloud services that you deliver?
It is something that we did. We host our own VMware infrastructure. We did do the remediation on the host servers. I didn't really see a impact on the user VMs. My overall utilization did go up about 30%, but we always way over provision our servers anyway. Shortly after all that happened, we actually added another host just in case, so we could still balance everything out.
Okay, great. So, because I know some of the massive cloud providers, it hit them because they're on a much larger scale. So, when you take that, 10, 15, 20% performance hit because of a patch, that's, millions and millions of, not billions of dollars.
Very easily.
Yes. So, okay. We are to our rapid fire round. So, this is easy. 6 quick questions. Just say the first answer that comes to your mind, and it's pretty painless. Are you ready?
All right. Sure.
All right. So first up, Apple or Android?
Android.
Mac, Linux, or Windows?
Windows.
Okay. The next one, Amazon, Azure, or something else?
Oof. I would say something else and do a caveat of it should be a hybrid of multiple public providers if you're going that way, and having a public provider as a backup is always the nice thing.
Okay, great. So local backups, cloud backups, or both?
Both, always. There's no reason not to. It's so cheap to store in the cloud now.
I think I know what this next one is going to be too. Should you always virtualize? Yes or no?
Absolutely. I would challenge somebody to explain why not to at this point in time.
Yeah. And then the final one, which is worse, printer support or vendor cold calls?
I hang up on the cold calls, so printer support. If I had to pick one, it'd definitely be the worst.
Okay, great. So, and I'm sure, kind of looking at your past, I'm sure, earlier on you did a lot of printer support when you're doing the break fix and stuff like that. So
you can't avoid it.
Yeah. John, it's been great. Any, kind of last words that you want to, talk to our audience about, let them know before you wrap things up here?
Nothing really to let everybody know, but I definitely appreciate you taking your time and having me on.
All right. Well, John, thank you so much. Again, it's John Watkins with InnerSight, and really appreciate you coming on today.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.